He kept referring to this person as chief or boss, and how he has an amazing tennis court on his property and that he would love to take me there to play tennis with him.
All the accusers in this case remain anonymous.
I went to the Bahamas to spend the summer after I graduated from high school in '98. And after spending a couple of weeks in Nassau, my mother's boyfriend, who lived in Nassau, said, why don't you take some tennis lessons while you're here for the summer? And I thought that was a great idea. I'd always wanted to learn how to play tennis. He introduced me to a tennis coach. Apparently he had been a pro in Nassau many years prior, and I started taking tennis lessons from him. I believe it was our third week. He started talking about a gentleman who he referred to as boss and chief. He never actually used his name. He just said he was a fashion designer who has a wonderful tennis court right over the ocean, and he would love to play tennis with you. He told me to wear a dress, which I found strange because I was just going to play tennis. The first time we went to the property, I just was kind of blown away. I didn't know what to think. It was nothing I'd ever seen before. Almost looked like the Mayan ruins. We watched other people play tennis for a while. There was maybe 10 or 20 other people there, a lot of staff. And then Peter wanted to play with me. It was a bit awkward playing in my dress, but I just went with it. The following week, I went back to play tennis. At that time, my tennis coach kind of just disappeared. And I was just kind of concerned of how I was going to get back. Peter assured me that I would get a ride back and that I could stay for dinner. I remember him wanting me to sit beside him at dinner. I had told him that I wanted to spend the rest of my summer in the Bahamas before heading back to Canada to go to college. And he invited me to come and stay on his property, and that he would give me my own cabana to stay for the rest of the summer. And I could play tennis and enjoy his beach and socialize with his guests. And I thought that was a wonderful opportunity. I very soon found out that I was not free to come and go as I pleased. There were, strict rules. The gate would just not open for me. You had to have Peter's permission for the gate to open. And so it was at that point that I knew I was, held captive. And I felt like his own little prisoner. And that he could tell me what I could do, when I could do it, when I could leave, when I could not. He had complete and full control. When I got to Niagara Key, I very soon found out that I was not free to come and go as I pleased. There were, strict rules. The gate would just not open for me. You had to have Peter's permission for the gate to open. He had my passport. He said that anybody that comes to the property, he just keeps it in a safe, and that it was just, I guess, protocol. I was pretty naive. After dinner one night, he invited a couple of us up to his room for drinks. And after having some drinks in his room, all of a sudden, it was just the two of us, and everyone just kind of dispersed. I don't know exactly where they went. And he told me to stay, and then started talking to me about different kinds of sex and what I had done and what I haven't done. And I just kind of started getting a little uncomfortable. And then he asked me, he started talking about anal sex. And I was pretty horrified at that point. But then, starting to feel pretty fuzzy at the same time because, I felt like I needed to lie down, that I had too much to drink, but I didn't think I had that much. Before I knew it, he had me on his bed face down, and he pulled my hips up, and I felt so drunk. And then before I knew it, he was inside me, and I didn't want him to do this, and I said stop, and he didn't. And I cried, and then I just turned myself off. And I had never felt that kind of pain before, and I just felt myself tearing. And when he was finished, I got off the bed and I grabbed my clothes and I ran out and went to my cabana, and I stayed there. I stayed there for a couple of days because I was very hurt, physically and emotionally, mentally. I was alone. I was scared. I didn't know where I would go. He had my passport. So, what would he say or do if I asked for that? After the pain subsided, I did come out and I started, spending some time on the beach. And when I saw him again after that, he acted like nothing had happened, like it was just another day. At this point, his kids had arrived on the property. I think his daughter was around my age and his son maybe about 14. And I do remember his daughter asking me kind of why I was there. I didn't really know what to tell her. She seemed like she wasn't surprised that there was a young female on the property. The same thing happened as it did that first time. But this time was the hardest because while he was sodomizing me, his son came to knock on the door looking for his dad. And instead of feeling sorry for myself at that point, I felt sorry for him because he had a dad like that. That time after he had Canadian money, Canadian bills in his hand, and he just kind of threw it at me on the bed and said, "There you go." Almost like, he's treating me like I was a prostitute. But I wasn't a prostitute. That's not prostitution, that's rape. I was afraid and alone and scared. Where was I gonna go? I couldn't leave the country. I couldn't do anything without my passport. And I felt like his own little prisoner, and that he could tell me what I could do, when I could do it, when I could leave, when I could not. He had complete and full control.